Is there anything more empowering than seeing your photograph in physical form? The feel of the paper grain, the awe of the fact that you created that. It's a special thing. It's a sort of moment that propels you into a lifetime of chasing that dopamine hit you get from making the photo. I created this. But there's a massive difference between the euphoria you get from seeing your work in print and translating that emotion to someone who might actually buy it. Selling your photography is hard. And most of us, well, we've been going about it completely the wrong way. What's going on, people? You are looking absolutely beautiful, handsome, talented. You're looking so talented. And if it sounds like I'm buttering you up, it's because I kind of am. Because what I'm going to say today might hurt feelings. And it might hurt feelings because I might be saying some things that you might not want to hear. And I should be clear that what I'm going to say about print and calendars has nothing to do with your talent level or skill level and everything to do with the fact that selling prints, selling photography in general is hard. It's not your fault it's hard. It's not my fault it's hard. It's just hard, okay? Now that that's out of the way, what I want to do on today's episode is talk about selling prints. And essentially 3 mistakes that photographers make in trying to sell prints, beyond the fact that they're trying to sell prints in the first place. The thesis statement of this video isn't don't sell prints and calendars, it's try to find more efficient ways to sell your prints and calendars. And so there's 3 mistakes I want to focus on, but because I'm a positive person, I also want to talk about solutions for every single one of them. But this is a discussion, a conversation. I don't have all the answers. So be sure to use the comment section and let me know what your experience is or what some of your ideas are. Because this is a community, your comments will probably help somebody else in the community. So let's get into it. Mistake number 1 is that people try to build a product before a market. And I know it feels really backwards because in most industries you build a product and then you sell it to the market. But in most industries you also go, okay, what market am I trying to target and how does my product benefit them? Or what do they get out of it? And in photography, you have to think that way as well. You have to say, what is the market? Who's gonna buy my photos? Who's gonna buy one of my prints and put it on their wall? And the reality is, it is really, really hard, especially in landscape and travel photography. It's really hard to find people that are willing to put it on their wall. It's really hard to find people that have that emotional connection to one of your photos. And it's even harder now because people don't buy physical products from other people because it's a powerful thing, printing one of your photos. Seeing one of your photos in print, just having it there is such an emotional thing. So how do you convey that emotion to somebody else? How do you convince somebody else to have that same emotion from one of your images? Especially when they can print it themselves. People are much more likely to post a print that they've taken on their wall or to make a photo book of their own images than they are to buy one from a stranger. Even if they're not great photographers, they probably would rather have that connection that they have to their own images rather than, a mediocre connection to somebody else's much superior work. Yes, landscape photography is nearly impossible to make money from. It sucks. And it drives me crazy to watch YouTube photographers go on and tell people how to make money from landscape photography when the chances are they never did it before they had an audience. They never actually made money enough to survive from landscape photography before they had an audience. It's an absolute lie that you can do it easily. Selling prints, selling calendars is hard. Don't listen to any YouTuber, including me if I've ever said it, that tells you that selling prints and calendars is easy. It's not. It's hard. But I'm a positive person. So let's focus on the solutions here. If you're trying to sell prints and calendars, I think you have to focus locally. I think find cafes that might want to put your art up on the wall because like here in my temporary home office, you have these big empty walls in cafes and they're looking to decorate. Find cafes and ask them if you can hang your art on their wall, have like a little slip with your name, the price, and your Instagram handle so that people can go and buy it directly from the shop. When people buy things like art, they buy it on a whim or when they're decorating. So if they're decorating like we are here at our new apartment, they go online and they search and they try to find something specific. They're not looking for a specific artist perhaps. They're just looking for a color pattern or a certain animal or a certain location or something like that. When people buy art just in general, it's because they see it in public or at a gallery or something like that and they go, wow, that's a really beautiful thing. I want that in my house, in my bedroom, or above my office. So if you're trying to sell prints, go to galleries and ask them if they have space, show them your portfolio, and try to sell prints there rather than online. Go to cafes and try to hang the stuff on the wall, offer them a commission on the sale, of course, and go to art shows. I listened to a podcast from Nick Page from like 3 or 4 years ago, and he is one of those landscape photographers, I think, that was making money from landscape photography before YouTube. And Nick, in his podcast, was talking about making money from art shows. I thought that's something I really want to try at some point when I settle down. Go to an art show and try to set up a booth and sell my photos. But it is a risky investment because you have to pay for all your prints to be printed, you have to pay for the booth up front, and then hope that you sell stuff. So you need the capital up front. It's hard, but it does work. Now, I have an aunt who's an artist in Canada, and before I even started YouTube, she said to me, hey Brendan, I'm going to this art show. Do you mind if I print out some of your images as prints and maybe make some cards out of them, like greeting cards and Christmas cards and stuff like that, and try to sell them for you? And I was like, yeah, like go for it. Let's see what happens. And then after the art show was over, she messaged me and she said, Brendan, I don't have great news. We didn't really make that much money. I think your cut of what your print sold was about $500 in profit. And I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, that's good money from selling art. So there is money at art shows. I think give it a try. At some point, I'm going to try it as well. And finally, forget your friends and family. If your audience is your friends and family, you're screwed because, I don't think anybody has enough friends and family to make a business work. It's just, and friends and family, they always go, oh man, your photos are amazing. You should definitely sell them. And then they'll never buy anything. At least my friends and family don't buy anything. Mistake number 2 is people try to sell calendars and I don't get it. In fact, no, I do get it because when I started in photography, I sold a calendar. It seemed like an easy way to make money. It seemed like something that, people would want. And I sold my first calendar when I was just starting on YouTube. I had a small audience and I sold a wildlife photography calendar because I thought everybody can relate to wildlife. They might not be able to relate to destinations or travel, but to wildlife, everybody can kind of relate to it. And of that calendar, I sold 8 copies. And after the costs of printing it and shipping it, I think I made $10 in profit from it. And it's just not worth it. It's so much work. And calendars have an expiry date. If you don't sell whatever you order, they're done. You've put in all that work and you can't reuse it at all, ever. You're done. I think you have to kind of think, who is going to buy your calendar if you make it? What's your audience? Sure, if you're Morton Hilmer and you're one of the world's best wildlife photographers and you have a massive audience already, you're gonna make good money on a calendar and you should make a calendar. But if you're not Morton Hilmer and you don't have a big audience and even if you do amazing wildlife photography, who's gonna buy those calendars from you? Calendars are already something that very few people use because they do everything digitally. I've got my phone open because I want to run through some stats on my calendar in what year are we? 2020. How could you forget what year it is? Especially this year. I want to run through my 2020 calendar sales numbers from last year. Now, I have 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think I had about 100,000 when I sold this calendar. I have about 130,000 followers on Instagram, so I have a built-in audience. I did pre-sales of my calendars because it's easier because you don't have to guess how many you might sell. And I made 150 calendar sales at 25 euros a piece. So that works out to be 3,750 euros. But when you order calendars in that size, you have to buy bulk orders. And I ended up buying 200 because I thought maybe I'll be able to sell 50 more between, delivery and the end of the year. I didn't sell any. So I had 50 wasted calendars that I ended up giving away to friends and family. Those 200 calendars cost 1,800 euros, and it seems like good profit. It seems like nearly 2,000 euros of profit. But you have to ship the calendars. And the shipping and packaging for the calendars cost about 8 euros a piece on average, because I'm shipping from the UK to the UK, but also Europe and Asia and Canada and the US. So it costs about 8 euros per item, which ended up costing about 1,200 euros. Brings my profit down to 750 euros. But I also hired a friend to come and help me package up the calendars, because it's like a 2-day job, just packaging the calendars, signing them, and shipping them. So that was another 200 euros I paid them. So I made 550 euros profit from my calendar in 2019 for 2020. And yes, 550 euros is great. But think about all the time and effort I put into it. I spent a full day curating the calendar. I probably spent an entire full day dealing with the printers and trying to get that organized. I actually drove from the south of the UK all the way to the north of the UK to pick up the calendar, so that's another cost that I haven't even tabulated. Then I spent a full day actually packaging and shipping the stuff. So essentially I spent 4 full days working on that. 4 10-hour days working on that. 40 hours for 550 euros. My solution is build a calendar every single year. And I know I've just said don't build a calendar. I think you should make a calendar every single year, because it's a really good learning experience making a calendar. You curate your images from the year, which is a really hard process, but it's also something that's a really good learning experience. You learn how to curate your photos. You learn what you did wrong throughout the year. You get ideas for what to do. And then give those calendars away to your friends and family. If they love those calendars enough, over time they're going to tell their friends and family about it, and it's going to spread, and eventually you might have an audience big enough to actually sell your calendar. But treat it like a learning experience rather than a sales experience. If you're going to try to sell calendars, my advice is try to find a way to do a reusable calendar. Calendars have an expiry date, and it sucks, because if you buy 100 calendars to sell and you only sell 20 of them, 80 of them go into the garbage. But if you can find a way to make a calendar that's reusable, that you draw in the numbers for every single month but have this beautiful artwork on the top, I think that's something that would be a great product that you could sell for 10, 20 years. That's an idea. And then maybe try to focus on a licensing deal. Try to find companies that actually sell calendars, that distribute calendars. Build like a calendar pitch for them and chase those guys. Chase whoever sells the calendars in your local drugstore or supermarket. Mistake number 3, I should check this is still running. I always have like this crazy thought that maybe the video has stopped filming halfway through. It hasn't. I think I'm overexposed though, but oh well. Mistake number 3 is trying to sell low-cost products or low-value products. You're trying to sell small little prints for $5 or mugs for $8. Selling small products is something that artists shouldn't focus on. It's something distributors should focus on. It's something that big companies like IKEA should focus on. You need to be focusing on selling art in art dollars, or potentially selling to distributors. And websites like Etsy and Vistaprint and all of these guys are so oversaturated, it's not even funny. I did a test just for fun this past month where I put my favorite 20 images on both Etsy and Vistaprint. I keyworded them, I SEO'd them, I did a crazy good job at setting them up. I didn't sell a single one. I don't even think I got hits hardly on any of them. They're so oversaturated. And the solution to this is you really, really need to build an audience. Instead of selling small little things, focus on art. Try to sell a $300 original print rather than a $3, quick sale. I'd much rather sell one $300 print than 100 $3 prints. Again, like calendars, focus on licensing deals. Our bedroom has a bunch of photos up on the wall that we actually got from IKEA. Whoever the photographer is that sold that to IKEA made a ton of money. But those images on the wall we bought for I think we got a pack of 10 for like $30. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Stop trying to sell the $30 pack of images, sell the $3,000 or $20,000 pack to IKEA to distribute it to other people. And finally, focus on community. Instead of, using social media to just shout at people and try to get them to buy stuff, build a Facebook community or a Twitter community that's a community that has a discussion and that people can engage with. That allows people to have a much more emotional attachment to what you do and the things that you produce. So that's my advice in today's video that's gotten a little bit long, I think. And I hope it doesn't discourage you, because I don't think you should stop printing. I don't think you should stop making calendars. I just think you need to try to find more efficient ways to do that so you can actually be profitable. And hopefully you can do that without a YouTube audience, despite the fact that every single YouTuber in the world pretends that it's super easy to make money selling calendars and prints. It's not. And speaking of YouTube, I do have a seminar later today at 7 p.m. UK time, which is soon. That's talking about how I built my YouTube channel, and mostly about how I failed to make my YouTube channel big and how I got around that anyway. So if you want to come join us for that seminar, there's a link in the description to this video. And that's it. We'll be out in the field shooting some photography on the next one. I'll see you there. Peace.